Hello, and welcome to episode 182 Checkpoint Chat, the episode on the weekend where things rise.
I
think
rise of Skywalker,
or the have risen. Happy Easter or happy Easter hangover.
Nice chocolate hangover.
I'm joined by Matthew Figuera as always.
Pro tip as put forward by my wife. She says, just go buy chocolate after Easter. Everything goes on sale. So
it's just like Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So we did not buy a single Easter egg, and we will go splurge after.
Good call.
Yeah.
Would also like to say happy Passover to any Jewish folk celebrating. It falls on the same weekend this year. Mm-hmm. Happy accident there. So that's cool. I'm going to be...
Yeah, it's not a...
Yeah, because it's all based on the lunar calendar. So it's not a given that it would be on the same weekend. But by the time you're listening to this, I would have feasted on some chicken soup and some matzah balls. Pretty good.
And
Pretty
then washed it down with the Easter traditional chocolate. Yeah.
Dude, Shani asked me this the other day, and I didn't really know. Why is Easter celebrated with a bunny?
No idea. It's
like, I get the eggs. The eggs are whole new life type of thing, right? But the bunny?
There must be some commercial link where some marketing person was like, you know what, we could capitalize on this. Let's turn these eggs into chocolate, and then, you know, what's a cute, adorable figure? A bunny. Something like that, maybe.
But it's like bunnies don't even, like, they don't lay eggs. they're not the oviparous kind, you know. If you know what I mean.
Easter have a bunny. We're gonna ask old Uncle Google. The story of the Easter bunny is thought to have become common in the 19th century. Rabbits usually give birth to a big litter of babies called kittens. Did not know that.
Okay.
So they became a symbol of new life. Legend has it that the Easter bunny lays, decorates, and hides eggs as they are also a symbol of new life. Where does the chocolate come in? No idea.
So are you saying that in another universe we could have had the Easter cat or the Easter dog?
Cat, Easter kitten.
Because anything that basically gives birth to big litters could have...
I did not know that.
The Easter otter, the Easter mongoose.
So...
I mean, if you had the Easter echidna, you know, a mammal that lays eggs, there we go. That makes sense.
But the Easter bunny? I don't know.
You could get Idris Elba to voice the Easter echidna in a movie adaptation, you know, because Knuckles is an echidna. So
get what's his face? Who's voicing Mario again?
Oh God, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Get him to voice all the characters.
Chris Pratt is the Easter echidna.
My goodness. So a lot of us may chomp on chocolate eggs at Easter, but originally eating eggs was not allowed by church leaders during the week leading up to Easter, known as Holy Week. So any eggs laid that week were saved and decorated to make them Holy Week eggs that were then given to children as gifts. Victorians adapted the tradition with satin-covered cardboard eggs filled with Easter gifts. This is now developed into the tradition that many people enjoy today. Okay, well,
imagine getting a boiled egg as a gift.
Why are Easter eggs made of chocolate? The first chocolate eggs
because they're better than boiled eggs.
The first chocolate eggs appeared in France and Germany in the 19th century, but they were bitter and hard.
Yeah.
As chocolate making techniques improved, hollow eggs like the ones we have today were developed. They very quickly became popular and remain a favorite tradition with chocolate lovers.
I must say, I'm not the biggest fan of the the white coated hollow chocolate egg.
Because you're not eating them, right?
I've never been a huge fan. Okay. Explain to me how I'm meant to eat them.
How do you eat them?
I'm not meant to. Well, okay. Firstly, they're hard as hell, so they're like technically a jawbreaker. Mm-hmm. So you have to lick on them a little bit, and then you have to bite into them.
No. You need to microwave them for half a minute.
What?
Microwave them for half a minute because then the chocolate inside melts, makes the shell a little bit soft, so you bite into the top, and then you can use your finger to scoop out that good melted chocolate goodness. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm not even making that up. Just try it and report back.
Microwave your Easter eggs.
For
what circle
I don't know,
of hell did you come from?
Just try it and then taste the good melted chocolate.
Do you like buy any chocolate and just microwave it?
No, just that one.
So what about beacon eggs? Do you microwave those?
No, another life hack I learned this year, which I cannot wait to try. One of my colleagues says she puts them in the freezer, and it makes them obviously very hard, but it gives it almost a texture of like a Magnum. So I'm quite keen to try that as well.
See, I'm more willing to try that. That actually sounds logical.
I'm telling you, try it. Just buy a little 6-pack of Easter eggs and microwave them. And then I wanna get your message saying, wow, you're not crazy. Or maybe you go, this is the worst idea. I don't know.
This sounds like a terrible idea.
Just try it.
Absolutely awful idea.
We can report back next week. We can compare notes here. I mean,
I'm just adjusting my audio because I suddenly got audio only in one of my ears and not all of them.
My blasphemy has caused your one ear to stop listening. It's like, no.
Yeah, I just you know like when headphones are like slightly plugged in and not fully.
Oh,
it
no.
felt like that, where it's like, oh, I only hear you in my right ear hole now. Anyway, microwaving Easter eggs sounds like an abomination, and you should go to jail for that.
Just try it.
My hot take on that. Disgusting.
Don't
Speaking
hate
of new
the
life,
player, hate the game. Speaking of games,
I have new life because I survived COVID.
Nice.
I lived, bitch. That's why we didn't record last week.
Also,
I was fucking man down. Can you believe it?
We got just targeted last week because you got COVID and I had some
food poisoning, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was food poisoning or if I had a tummy bug or something. It was not a good time. Sure.
That is the worst.
Actual worst. Only got my appetite back like on Sunday evening, I think. Ooh. Yeah, not cool. Not
so
cool.
you just had basically like a forced little diet quickly.
Lenska was like, I'm semi-jealous. It's like, literally no. This, if I had to choose a method of losing weight, it would not be this. It's like, yeah.
My God.
Let's not do this.
God.
Yeah,
you could have had a bit of COVID because that's one of the symptoms, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the only thing I had, which makes me think it was just a straight up tummy bug. I don't know. Even a tummy bug, it's like a question mark. To me, it feels like it was food poisoning where I just had a bad bout of something and then my body was just recovering. So I didn't feel like eating anything.
So it was like, you know, one of those things that like after 24 hours, you already feel like so much better.
Yeah, and then it's just the next day or two that followed, I didn't really have an appetite. But I did feel a lot better. So yeah, who knows? For video viewers, Alessandro's screen is giving that beautiful green webcam flicker that we love to see, because he reinstalled Windows recently. So we will problem solve that at some point.
Listen,
don't know what causes it. It's
I don't know what causes it. It honestly might be it's plugged into the wrong like USB port, like too low powered of a port, and then it flickers momentarily. I'm not fixing it now. That's all I'm saying. I'll fix it next time. Maybe. Who knows?
It's Good Friday today. We just quickly doing a little podcast so that we can have a nice long weekend. If you're listening to this on Monday, enjoy your public holiday and your short week.
Yeah, do enjoy it. Apparently, South Africa are one of the few places that do the whole like, if you have a public holiday on a Sunday, then it rolls over to the Monday. Like that's not a normal thing, and that's strange to me.
I don't want to live in any of those places.
Yeah, that's
I like
weird,
having
man.
the Monday.
There's so many public holidays on Sundays that that fall on Sundays, and now what? You're going to tell me it's just not a holiday?
I'd rather just immigrate.
Get out of here with that bullshit.
You know what? For all the shit we have in South Africa with, corrupt governments and load shedding and that, at least we get our public holidays right. Okay, we've got an ample selection of public holidays, and we get given extra public holidays if they fall on a Sunday.
Some say too many. I say never
Not
enough. Yeah.
Exactly.
Never enough. Yeah.
No, one can never have enough holidays. And then people bring up things of like, oh, it affects the economy. And I'm like, you know what?
It does.
It does.
But you know what?
I like
but
my
also
health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, you know what else we have a lot of? Video games.
Not so much in the next month or two, but you know what? Games are forever.
Games are forever.
Put that on
Can
a
you
t-shirt.
believe it?
Tattoo that onto your hip.
Onto your hip. Why your hip of all places?
I don't know. That's the first thing that came to mind. Games are forever.
Games are forever. Just on your hip. Not even like a tramp stamp. Just on your hip.
Because
just so when you pop your hip, you're just like, oh yeah.
Because hips don't lie.
Oh,
so so you only put facts there. Okay, games are forever.
You don't put lies on your hips. You just straight facts. Just straight facts. Fire.
Yeah, straight fire. Games are forever. My goodness, games are forever.
Games are forever, and the one game that has forever taken a place in my heart. Nailed it.
Sure.
Tunic. Oh my God. What a fucking game. So we're recording this on the Friday, so I finished this yesterday, finally. And when I say finished, I mean, you know, a lot of people have finished Tunic, but haven't actually even dug into some of the cool shit that Tunic has in its post-game. I did a lot of that post-game stuff before I faced the final boss. I haven't done literally one puzzle that will unlock the true ending for me. So, like, I've done quite a bit. This game is just so special. It's so good in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's interesting because we spoke about it.
I think we briefly spoke about it. I was like, I started it.
Yeah, we had both just started it. I think I'd only played like 30 to 40 minutes, if that. And even then, I was like, yeah, this is a cool game. I mean, it looks good. It feels good to play. But yeah, what followed that weekend and beyond was just me actually snorting this game because I mean it's relatively long depending on how much poking around you do, but it'll take you, I'd say, like 12 to 15 hours maybe. If that's
I took around 20.
Yeah, but that's you poked around and did some stuff.
Yeah.
So it's quite a chunk of game, and it's really good. Like, I think what baffles me the most is that this game is so well put together to the point of the closest comparison I can give is when you're running around in a level and it falls on itself. It's that Bloodborne moment of like, wow, like I can't believe this level fits together like this. How well designed is this game? But it's been put together by a very small team of people, which I think most of the responsibility falls on Andrew Scholdas, who's the head of the project, I guess, obviously supported in some ways with music and other things. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this dude left game development in 2015 to pursue making this game.
Oh, really? Wow.
And yeah, what a 6-year journey, and the result is just, it's unreal. So what I'm getting at with this long spiel is that I can't believe this game was put together by like one dude or a small team of people. It's so well designed. It's scary actually how well everything fits together and how much thought has been put into it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you missed the previous discussion, it's sort of like, I want to say it's styled like an old school Zelda, like sort of like a Link Between Worlds, or most recently Link's Awakening. That's sort of like isometric diorama style to levels.
Yeah.
And it is that loop of go to a biome or a dungeon, get an item that then enables you to go to a different biome or dungeon, and you're doing a lot of you're not doing tons, but you're doing some backtracking because you're like, oh, this tool now opens up this thing, and I remember seeing these two instances, on this part of the map. for example, Zelda like perfected that formula decades ago, and Tunic borrows pretty liberally from that. It also kind of borrows from ideas from like the Souls franchise, in that you have campfires where you rest, and that's where you replenish your health
and
vials. You're healing. That's where you spawn again if you die. And when you rest there, all the enemies respawn. But I'm not going to call it a Souls game. Like, it's challenging, but it's not. It's not nowhere near that hard, and its structure is not kind of the same. You've got levels that kind of fold over on each other, but it's not that style of game, because I know a lot of people like switch off when they hear that. It's just, it borrows those elements, and they're most recognizable from the Souls franchise, but it's not that sort of game at all.
And having finished the game, I think I can say that combat is almost like on the back seat. It's obviously there's combat, but the true star of this game is the exploration. It's really about you figuring out where to go next, what to do, and like combat's there, but it feels like it's not the, I don't know. It's the only way I can explain is that it feels like it's the secondary objective, or takes a back seat almost to what else you're doing.
It's not the thing you're primarily doing all the time. But when it's there, it's pretty robust. I mean, you've got a stamina meter that only is used when you engage in like rolls and dodges. And like if you lose all of your stamina, then you take double the damage while it replenishes, stuff like that. Which is very, very painful. Detrimental. But the attacks are basic. You have like a 3-hit combo. You can block with a shield whenever you get it. You've got a variety of magical items. So yeah, it's sort of bread and butter in that way, but you've got a good variety of enemies that force you to use all of your tools, I feel like. And while they're not like huge roadblocks to always get past, they're always satisfying to fight. And that's especially so when you get to the boss fights. The boss fights that can be slightly more challenging than normal, but boy, they're just like great fights. Just really, really good.
Yeah, I think that I would happily compare to like a Souls, where there's every boss you fight is accompanied by a really good song or soundtrack, and there's the thing
really good vista.
You got to figure out the pattern, figure out the attacks, and they are challenging. Like none of the bosses I thought were a walkover. So I think the thing that really sells me on this game, because a lot of what we've spoken about now sounds pretty standard from an action adventure game. I think what really gets me is just the sort of overall level design is just ridiculously good. It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many little hidden parts. You have to go into this with the mindset that you're going to be kind of like running into walls at weird angles, because the camera angle is specifically done in a way to obscure some paths, which I think if you go into the game not expecting that can be frustrating, because you never expect that. But once you have that sort of like ingrained in your mind that that's how the game works, man, it's just so easy to kind of like see them from afar almost. But there's like it feels really good to discover all these little hidden paths here and there. And then also the game has this in-game manual. So sort of like what maybe used to ship with games maybe 20, 30 years ago. A full-on manual that not only just tells you how to play the game, but also gives you hints as to how to progress. Yeah. You have that in-game, and throughout your adventure, you find pages for this manual. Yeah. And it's quite extensive. There's 25 pages in total. Each of them is double-sided, so it's like 50. And they essentially tell you how to play the game, but they also slowly drip feed you new mechanics. But what's cool is that these mechanics aren't gated in a way. There are mechanics that you could have engaged in from the moment you start the game. You just have no idea that they exist. Yeah. So as an example, because a lot of these are really cool surprises, so I don't want to give them away. Like one of the earliest ones is you get items that appear in your inventory just with question marks. So you can't consume them. You have no idea what they do. And they go in a very specific area of your inventory. And it's like very unclear why. And I would say maybe like at 2 or 3 hours in, definitely before you fight the Garden Knight, which you're watching now, if you're watching the footage, you can pick up a page that says, oh, when you're at your little campfire, instead of just resting, open up your inventory. And that immediately exposes something that you can do with those items.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the point at which I found out that those items could be used in that way, I'd collected numerous of them. And I was just staring at them like, I don't know what to do with these. I don't know how to do anything with these. And then suddenly it's like, oh my God. And it like completely changes how you perceive the game and also just like what you can, like what you think as possible in the game because of that small little thing.
Yeah.
And then there's just so many moments like that.
Yeah.
So many times where I've picked up a page and it's like, this completely changes the game. And now I have to revisit these 2 or 3 areas because there's something new I can do there that I could always do there. It was just, I didn't have the knowledge.
Didn't know,
yeah. And so I think maybe playing this game from a New Game Plus, I've read a lot of people who have done a New Game Plus run on this, and because of the knowledge they're taking into the New Game Plus, they can sequence break this game in such like wondrous ways. And then the game is so aware of that as well. Like you were telling me that there are areas where you can find the sword that are different to the traditional area because people who sequence break need to have
a tool,
different place to find a sword because they'll need it at a certain time. And it just shows you the sort of level of design and thought that's gone into this game. And it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Just nothing I've ever seen on this scale.
Yeah. On that, I mean, that was me watching, because, you know, one of my favorite things to do after finishing a game is just seeing how people break it. It's with a speed run. So I watched an IGN video where the devs react to a 24-minute speed run, which is just crazy to think.
Yeah, that's incredibly fast.
But when they're chatting, they're saying like, it's interesting because some developers completely embrace speedrunning and actually include mechanics, you know, to favor that community. And yeah, like you said, there's a secret room, you know, in one of the early parts that has a spare sword. That's not the one you would traditionally pick up. And the dev was basically like, you know, we put that there for speedrunners specifically. I found
it like
cool.
near the end of the game, and I was like, wait, why is this here? Like, why would I need this now?
Does this sword do more damage? Like, what's going on here?
At first I got excited. I'm like, oh, sick. And it literally is like, you've already got one of these. I was like, oh, that's lame.
But I think just to go back to the manual, I think my favorite description of it, I was listening to Kind of Funny's review on it. I think, so I can't remember who, but someone on that podcast said that it's the game's secret sauce. And like, there's no better description because it almost feels like that's what makes the game. It's not the only thing, but it's one of the highlights of the game that makes it so special because that manual is just like, I've never had a feature like that in a game, at least not that comes to memory. And it does harken to that thing of you're a kid, you got a new game, you're flipping through the manual, you know, so excited to play it, looking at the pictures. And to incorporate that into the game itself where nothing's gated, it's literally, you just don't know how to do that. Here's a helpful hint. And it's not explained in, you know, raw English or whatever language. The game has its own made-up language where, you know, I really hope that somebody's gone and, you know, decrypted it and they've thrown up a, you know, a translated manual.
I think there's someone on Reddit who's busy decrypting it like fully.
So it obviously has full meaning behind those long paragraphs in the manual, but, you know, to help the player along, there's 1 or 2 English words scattered throughout. And it is just a helpful nudge in the right direction. And it's when you find a page manual, you get so excited, like, ooh, like what am I going to learn now? You know, what hidden mechanic am I going to learn?
And it's not even what the manual, like you said, it's not even what the manual's explicitly telling you. It's like these little scribbles in the margins here and there that are like, you know, a player who's seen this already is kind of like making their own notes and kind of alluding to things as well. And man, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's what a, like, I've had my Iron Tunic for years now. I mean, I can't remember if I saw its first reveal in 2015 or 2016, but I know years ago I saw this and I thought, man, that little Zelda fox is too cute and I can't wait to play this game. But I really didn't expect, you expect just a straight up Zelda clone because it's called Tunic. Like it obviously wears that reference on its cap. On its
wears
sleeve.
a green tunic.
It wears
come on.
green tunic. But this is not, a typical Zelda game. There's a lot, it's got so many different elements to it that, I don't know, what a special game.
And I also feel like it's just tuned so perfectly. So like, the first 2/3 of the game are very much your traditional Zelda fare, but each of the dungeons, they don't feel like they overstay their welcome. They always feel perfectly like timed. Like I get to the boss immediately when I feel like I should be getting to the boss. You know what I mean? But they're not too short. Like I love Breath of the Wild, but I feel like their Divine Beasts, the dungeons are way too short, or way too basic in a way.
Yeah.
And then some of the OG Zelda dungeons, like in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, are just too long. Yeah. They so complex and so interweaving. Tunic is just like, cool, there are little rooms here and there to act as distractions for you to go in, but the main path is like a solid half an hour, 40 minutes. You'll get through this dungeon.
And when you've got the dungeon figured out, you could run through it so quickly.
Oh, and you're forced to a lot of the time. So it's good that you can kind of like, get in and out fairly quickly. And there's like shortcuts that you can discover to make getting back to the boss like easier and stuff like that. But then in the final third of the game, like the game just changes completely. It's like it becomes far more of a puzzle game. I mean, I've said this a lot, but it becomes like Fez. If you've never played Fez, that will make zero sense to you. But if you've played Fez, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's sort of like puzzles that have always been around you that you have never identified as puzzles. Like you see a lot of things that you never thought of as, oh, this is something to solve. You just thought, oh, this is part of the background. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the last third of that game just blew my mind. Like as soon as I turned this corner where I figured out something like from the manual, and the game specifically points you in a direction because it needs you to understand something. Otherwise, you're just not going to progress. Yeah. But after that, I was just like, wait a minute. I've seen patterns like this elsewhere. What if I just invert, if I take the knowledge of how I'm solving this puzzle and apply it to this other thing, will it work? And I tried it once and I was like, oh my God, it worked. And it's just that like light bulb moment and huge satisfaction of that working. And then it's just like all these things firing off in your head. Like there are so many different places I can go now and try this. And it's so rewarding in that because it trusts, we spoke about games earlier this year, especially with Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima and generally a lot of AAA, big first party studio games. They are designed in a way to ensure that the player finds the fun, so much so that they do not trust the players to find that themselves. Yeah. Tunic is a game which is like, it has a very deep respect for the person that's playing it. It doesn't think you're stupid. It doesn't think you're the smartest person. It doesn't assume you're the smartest person in the world because otherwise it would be frustrating. Yeah. But it trusts you enough to be like, you can figure this out. And the reward at the end of that is just so, it's so unlike so many other games because I think finding that balance is so difficult. Yeah. But it's just so good when it's nailed, and Tunic nails that, I think.
It's amazing how, completely different games, but Elden Ring and Tunic, neither of them spoon feed you. And like the games are better for it. It's that sense of discovery and, figuring stuff out. Like you don't get that with games that spoon feed you. Just interesting that it almost feels like this is it could be that MOBA moment where people go, oh, yes, people want these obscure games that don't spoon feed anything. In like a year or two, we're going to have a flurry of these damn obscure games. I mean, but maybe even not,
then, it's like Tunic and Elden Ring are different because like most FromSoft games, they're obscure and they're obscure in the weirdest ways. Yeah. Tunic is like, I'm going to be obscure, but I'm also going to give you so many hints that you should be able to figure this out.
But in Elden Ring, the fact that it's just an open world, which is, unusual for them. and there's still just enough information to drip feed you in the right direction. Or, you know, if you're following any of the side quests, there's always like a line of dialogue that just nudges you in the right direction or whatever.
It's just good design.
It's good design, yeah.
It's really, really, there's no other word for it. It is design that is exceptional, and that's why not every game is like this, because I don't think it's firstly easy, and I don't think the majority of people making games have the skill. Unfortunately, it's what separates good games from excellent games. And Tunic is definitely one of the best games I've played. I mean, I mentioned this yesterday in Discord, but if I had to look at all the games I played last year, Tunic is probably up there with Chicory, and probably better. Like Tunic is the best game I've played in the past 2 or 3 years. Like,
it's real
by
good.
far. And it wasn't even, it was like within the first hour or so, I was like, okay, this is good. Like, I'm enjoying this. I'm having a fun time. But it was only like when I got into it, I just could not stop thinking about this game. And it's been a long while since I've had that. It's just absolutely, completely taken over my life. And I had that like drop of the gut when I finished it, being like, I feel empty now. Yeah, I feel very empty. But that's the mark of a good game. It's fantastic.
Well, it's cool though, is that you can go sequence break it now. See how fast you can.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I kind of want to go fuck around there and just see, like, can I get some of the late game items I got, like, before I get the sword, you know, and see how the hell that changes how I get around.
Watch a speed run. It'll blow your mind.
I really want to now.
Because the speed run I watched, there weren't, you know, you get speed runs where it's like you run against this wall and then you push these 3 buttons and you teleport through it. The one I watched was just straight up, you know, none of that, just playing the game, just sequence breaking it for the most part. So yeah, Tunic, what a game. It's on Game Pass.
I cannot wait for like an AGDQ run of this.
Yeah,
because that's going to be
because then it's fun, because then they actually talk you through exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tunic is on Game Pass. So
on Game Pass on Xbox and PC.
It's literally,
I must say, I was bouncing between the two, because sometimes Shani would be watching TV in the lounge, so I'd be like, okay, I'll play on PC. And other times I was playing on Xbox. And I mean, this is probably a given now because it's been happening for so long, but these save syncing between the two is so seamless. It's
I was going to ask, so you're just
good.
you're playing across both platforms, no problem.
It just works.
Amazing.
Like even on the Xbox. So on the Xbox, it's a quick resume title, so it would be quick resume. So if I played on the PC, I'd load it up on Xbox, and it would immediately be like, "Hey, your save data changed elsewhere. You should reboot this game." And I was like, "Cool,
okay,
yeah." But then on PC, as soon as I load up, it syncs, and it's like it's done. It's just there. I mean, Steam does this as well.
Yeah.
But to see it so like, yeah. I mean, I say this in the same week that I booted up. So this is probably a very niche problem to have, but I have 2 Nintendo Switches. Obviously. Oh no. And I took the Nintendo Switch Lite to Cape Town with me in December and played a lot of Hades there. And then when we had load shedding this week, I was like, oh, I want to play a bit of Hades, but my light is flat, so I've got my normal one. And it hadn't automatically uploaded my cloud save data. So I went in and I was like, oh crap. And then as soon as I exited the game, because I knew immediately what was going to happen, it uploaded that to the cloud.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh fuck. So now it's overwritten, like game over.
Damn
like
it.
I've just lost a bunch of progress.
Oh, that's annoying.
And it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with a handheld system, that's a bit trickier, because when it's connected to the internet, it is not entirely the same thing. But yeah, I mean, props to Xbox. That shit just fucking worked.
Yeah.
Really, really useful. Yeah. Tunic,
play this game. It is on Game Pass.
Yeah, please play this game.
You only have to invest in Game Pass. You don't have to cough up any other money.
I genuinely feel like I should. I feel like I'm robbing the developer of not giving him money, because this is just like so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good game. Cool. So yeah,
what
that's
else?
Tunic.
What else?
You've been playing a little something that involves Skywalkers. and lightsabers and all.
Yeah, so I guess I was
things.
meant to talk about this last week, but then I was
We
dying.
died.
So yeah, I died. Yeah, Miyazaki actually came to my house and put that. He overlaid that
Oh my
image
God.
onto me.
Sure.
So I played and reviewed. Okay, let me get this right. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga for GameSpot. So this is, stop me if you've heard this before, a Lego Star Wars game that encapsulates all of the Star Wars stories, which I think they've done already before.
They've done it before, but yeah.
Yeah. This is the first one, I think, that obviously has The Rise of Skywalker, the last film. But yeah, they essentially took this time to kind of, Traveler's Tales, the developers of the game, to kind of reinvent the gameplay of a Lego game. Normally it's been a fixed camera, very one button, one note sort of gameplay. This is more a third person game. So you've got things like third person shooting, cover based shooting. Your lightsaber and melee fighting is far more in depth. If you on Twitter, or I'm sure you've seen some people like comparing it to like Devil May Cry, even with the sort of combos you can pull off.
I saw that tweet this morning.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yes, you can do that, but also the enemies never have enough health where you can actually pull something impressive off. And the game's never hard enough that it kind of necessitates you to deviate from like a one button thing. But it is kind of fun to mash on different buttons and see your characters do different things, like force push someone or somersaults over someone, or it's just really, it feels far more fun and far more reactive to player input as opposed to the older games.
It's also
which I think just makes it more engaging. Yeah, it is stunning. This game it's ridiculous how good this looks. So it mixes realistic backgrounds with sort of like, like the Lego blocks. So if you go to like Tatooine, you'll see realistic mountains juxtaposed with, Lego buildings and stuff like that. So it's not all just Lego bricks. And I think that's what really makes a difference. But also just the detail in all of the brickwork is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It looks stunning all the time. You see some Lego bricks change over time. So like their scuff levels will change, or like if you get in mud, they will track that mud sort of thing. A lot of nice reflective surfaces on some areas, especially like in ships and stuff. Space battles look phenomenal as well. It's just a really good looking game, which is weird when you consider it is a Lego game. Like I was just gawking at it, just like, oh my God, like it's just so varied and so beautiful. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I do think that so you can start at any of the starting points of the three trilogies. So A New Hope, Phantom Menace, and then Force Awakens. And then you go each film is comprised of like 5 story levels.
Okay.
And in between those story levels, you get to explore like sort of semi-open hub worlds.
Yeah.
And these hub worlds have a bunch of like side activities and side puzzles for you to interact with. Some puzzles require a certain type of character, like it requires a force wielder, or it requires a scoundrel that can climb on certain things, or a bounty hunter that can open certain crates, stuff like that. So you're incentivized to swap between the roster of like 400 characters pretty often.
Oh my God, 400 characters.
There's a lot. Okay, it's 400 characters, but there's a lot of overlap. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like there's Padme, and then there's pregnant Padme. It's like, okay. Like, come
amazing.
on.
2 different characters.
Exactly. You get Ben Kenobi, and then you get old Ben Kenobi, and then you get old Ben Kenobi with a hood. And you're just like,
I love it.
So yeah, stuff like that. But so the story missions are really, really fun. I think they are probably the best parts of the game, because they're like linear, very curated levels with, a good sense of progression and pacing. There's a good mix of puzzles and combat there.
Yeah.
The open world hubs don't feel as good. The puzzles initially are pretty fun, but their structures are repeated so often.
Okay.
Like you'll be like, okay, this is this type of puzzle. This is the puzzle where I need to hack this terminal, or this is this puzzle where I need to go find a fucking minifig that looks like the 10 billion other minifigs that look identical near me.
My goodness.
You know, and they repeat those structures so often that it becomes really monotonous. And then it just led me to being like, cool, I'm just going to go from one story beat to the next because the rest is kind of not that interesting.
Yeah.
And that exposes some real pacing problems with these story missions. Like sometimes the hubs are there to try and break up objectives that are literally just like, oh, walk to this end of the map and then walk back. You know, they're expecting you to do things in between.
Okay.
But if you're ignoring that, then it's just like, I've literally walked to this end of the map and got a prompt to just walk back to the ship that I entered the planet on to progress the story, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some issues there. But overall, I think you're going to have a great time with the Skywalker Saga. I think it's a real good, like, love letter to Star Wars. It's very funny. I find it
I'm sure.
like just slapstick humor that the Lego games are really good at, but also very they know their audience. They know that their audience is both kids and like older adults who kind of understand Star Wars and its critiques. So I think they lean into that quite a bit. There's some proper funny moments there that, you know, poke fun at the franchise itself, which is good. Having a bit of self-awareness is always
it's
fun.
never a bad thing.
So it's a good time.
How long is it? Because I mean, it's 9 movies, five levels per movie.
So I played it for about 20 hours as well.
Okay.
I would say each film takes you about maybe 1.5 to 2 hours, around about there, depending on how quickly you race through them. And then there's, you know, outside of that, then you can just hop into any of those hubs with any of the characters after you've unlocked them and just mess around in there and collect stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of content there. I think you can mess around with it for a very long time, especially if you're into collecting like all the characters and stuff like that. So
nice.
It was a good time.
Cool.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't know if I'll play much more of it now that I'm kind of like done with it, but I enjoyed my time with it.
And it's got co-op, right?
Yeah. It's got co-op. Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. That's
good. Also, the Lego talks now. They don't just mumble, which is interesting.
Okay.
Actual English.
Did not expect that. Yeah, cool. Skywalker Saga. I'd like to get to it at some stage, but
it's fun.
When? Who knows when?
Yeah. Who has the time?
Goodness. Yeah. Cool. Shall we get to the 3 games that are probably coming out? I don't actually know what's coming out.
There's not much happening. Let me just
make a
pull up
little
the
time stamp, little stampy stamp. Okay. What is coming out?
BG 24. So I'm actually quite happy that the releases have kind of slowed down. Now I'm actually curious when they're going to pick up, because I assume we're going to get a bunch of independent events like between May and June.
Yeah.
Kind of like fleshing out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But between now and like August, there's
not much.
Not tons, you know.
I think things will appear or pop up. You know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Next month,
I feel like they have to. So
we're gonna get Silk Song next month. Can't wait for him to shadow drop it.
That'd be lovely. I'd be very happy. So we're looking at game releases from today, Friday the 15th, all the way up until April 22nd. So let me just look.
Oh damn! There actually are a few things to get through. Not that I recognize any of them, but
yeah, I literally don't recognize it. I recognize one thing, and that's because it's a port. Yeah. So firstly, we've got a game called Sally Face coming to consoles, suspiciously not PC, on April 15th. And we've got a game called Winter Ember coming to PC and consoles on April 19th. War Strike Challenges Steam Early Access coming to PC April 19th. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. I think this is the whole collection, if I'm not mistaken.
Your favorite
coming
game?
to Switch. Yeah, it's a good game. I enjoy that. If you want to play an old school God of War but Star Wars, this game.
I've not played the Force Unleashed, so there we go.
They're fun. They're repetitive as hell, but they're fun. I thoroughly enjoy them. April 20th. Ember Knights coming to Steam Early Access on PC, April 20th as well. Terraformers, Steam Early Access on PC, April 21st. Godlike Burger. Okay.
It's a game about in and out.
Godlike. Oh, listen here. I would play that. I would eat that.
I'd eat that. My goodness.
I think Googling this is going to be, okay, it actually came up with the game because I was half expecting it to come up with some YouTube thing of like, this is a Godlike Burger.
Some SEO doing
in Godlike
work there.
Burger, you run the craziest restaurant of the galaxy. Isn't it in the galaxy? Okay. Oh, wow. Stun, poison, and kill customers in many devious ways and turn them into burger meat. What? And
Nice.
don't worry, alien customers will keep coming if you're smart about it because cannibalism is just too damn tasty. This is like some Sweeney Todd shit.
Yeah.
What is going on here? This actually, looking at this, it's got this sort of visual style of, do you remember Void Bastards? Like from a year or two ago? That comic booky, cel-shaded. Yeah, it looks like that, but then it's got the camera perspective of like an Overcooked.
Yeah.
So
That's actually, they had a baby. Cool. So that's coming out.
Kind of want to play this now. This looks stupid and ridiculous, and I kind of want to try this.
21 April.
Yeah, 21st April on PC. Then we got Leela's Sky Arc, PC and Switch, April 21st. And then Trolley Problem Inc., PC, April 21st. Do you think that's just a simulator where you have to fix like the squeaky fourth wheel on trolleys?
Probably. The world's hardest game. Oh, and there's also these two. Lumote.
God, how did I miss those?
Because they're so long.
Lumote, The Master Mote Chronicles, PC and consoles and Switch, April 21st. And then MotoGP, two-wheeled vroom vroom, coming to consoles and PC on April 21st.
Nice.
Cool.
There's
a game missing from this list for the rest of April. Teardown is coming out later this month.
The hell is Teardown?
Oh my God. Okay. After this recording, you need to go Google Teardown.
Teardown.
It's real fun. It's been in early access for a long time and it's fucking great.
Is it a game about destroying houses?
Sort of. It's a game where you've got tons of, like, everything's destructible, but you're planning heists. So you've got to use like destructibility to kind of set up your escape route before you trigger the heist so that you can like escape this level in the 60 seconds after an alarm is triggered or something.
Oh my goodness.
It's fucking cool. It
good.
Also will make your PC cry because it's just so much processing happening.
It's a bunch of physics. Cool. Should we get to gaming news? I do not know what to headline with this week.
Let me look at the list actually.
I mean, there's actually a fair bit of news. Should we go with?
Let's go with Kojima.
Oh, Kojima. Never change.
Oh, Kojima. Yeah, never change. So this was, at the time of recording, this was kind of doing the rounds yesterday. By the time you hear this, maybe the story's completely changed. Who the fuck knows? But essentially, there was a banner update, PlayStation Studios banner update that was going around that removed the concrete genie dude, the dude in the beanie, and replaced it with... real shame. An actual PlayStation exclusive, yeah. And replaced it with Norman Reedus and his BB.
Hilarious.
And that got some outlets to be like, oh, is this like, imminently teasing an acquisition? Because yes, acquisitions are now teased, even though they're not technically legally meant to be. But anyway, many other outlets kind of ignored it because, well, it's just a banner update. PlayStation actually owns the Death Stranding IP. So this doesn't actually mean anything. Yeah, they own it. They didn't publish it on PC, but they own the IP. So it doesn't actually mean shit, really. But then things got real weird when late in the evening, Kojima just tweeted that banner.
Straight up himself.
And people
like, yo.
Cool. Yeah, that means, whatever. He quickly followed that up in another tweet, which read, translated, says, I seem to have invited misinterpretation, but Kojima Productions has been and will continue to be an independent production studio.
Well, nothing like
so is PlayStation purchasing Kojima Productions? I don't think so.
Kojima does shit like this on purpose. I mean, you have to think.
Of course he does.
My favorite Kojima moment was years ago when we were working for Lazy Gamer. I did an article because there was all this hype about Kojima teasing a collection. We're like, oh, is this the Metal Gear Solid collection? What is it? Turned out it was just a collection of new fashion items, a new fashion range.
I do remember
so
that.
I'm
actually.
like, this dude is completely self-aware how much, clout he has. I don't know. It seems weird to me that he just tweets this and goes, oh, yeah, sorry, misunderstanding.
Soz completely misinterpreted me.
What did you think? Of course, it's just the banners. Like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Like, listen, I sort of get it. Like, all the other games on this banner are exclusives, first and foremost, but they also represent one of the studios that Sony owns. So you've got like Polyphony, Asobu, Bend, Gorilla, Blue Point, etc. Death Stranding is the only one from a studio that PlayStation Studios doesn't own, but PlayStation owns the IP to that game. So,
but what boggles my mind of this banner is that we have MLB The Show here, which is no longer an exclusive.
Not an exclusive, but it is produced by Sony. Yeah.
It's just,
it's weird. So,
I can't believe they gave up a Concrete Genie guy for this random baseball player.
But this is also the thing. They omit so many studios on here. So you don't have representation from Fire Sprite. You don't have anything from, oh God, now I've just blanked on the name. Who are the Little Big Planet devs and the Dream devs? Media Molecule.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not all encompassing. So I think a lot of people jumped the gun. I think also, 2 or 3 weeks ago, there were those rumors that Sony was, on the verge of announcing a big acquisition that just never happened. That acquisition might still be happening. Maybe it's just a timing thing, whatever. For what it's worth, industry journalist Jeff Grubb, who very often doesn't leak things, but he reports on these sorts of things. He was one of the people who initially said that he had heard of an acquisition rumor like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And yesterday on his show on Giant Bomb, he basically said that acquisition rumor that he had heard of was not for Kojima Productions. It was actually for a bigger studio.
Oh my.
And that he had heard nothing about Kojima Productions. The only thing he had heard about Kojima Productions is that their deal for an exclusive with Xbox is still on the table.
Huh.
So, you can't have one and not the other. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Sony's buying From Software. Can confirm. You heard it, Jeff.
Bandai Namco would greatly step in to stop that, I think.
Sorry, Sony's buying Bandai Namco. You heard it, Jeff.
Wow. Okay. Huge.
Well, let's just tick that piece of news off. The Elden Ring speedrun record is now less than 7 minutes.
I feel like every day this changes. I feel like even by the time this comes out, this will be old news.
At the beginning of this week, it was 9 minutes. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, same dude, under 7 minutes.
Oh, is it the same guy?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a bit more sense.
And I know I obviously haven't watched the whole run for spoiler purposes, but I did watch the first minute just for interest's sake. And ridiculous. This is one of those runs where they just glitch through the game completely. So, yeah.
Okay. So, well, obviously, a 7-minute run is not like all bosses run, but
exactly. Yeah. Holy shit. Now that I want to see.
Well, I mean, you said there's only 4 or 5 main bosses, so.
That I know of, I think it's five or so, main bosses. So yeah.
I did see that, I mean, this is tangential, but someone speedrun, quote unquote speedrun, they managed to finish Dark Souls 3 without walking.
Mm-hmm.
How?
So my understanding is that there's an ability you get in the game, which basically like it's almost like a forward step. It's like a dodge. I think they only used that throughout the game.
Interesting.
So it's a loophole.
Walking in inverted commas, really.
Exactly. Look, hats off
I
to
would
them
still
because-
count a dodge as a walk.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't watched it myself, but still. In other news,
Do you think we'll get down to like a sub 3-4 minute
with this run,
speed run?
From what I've seen, I think the
eventually there must be a wall that they just hit.
Yeah. So my understanding is that they're using a technique called zip lining or zipping or something, where there's a very specific animation that they do, which is frame specific, that forces them to like travel a great distance in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But pulling that off, there's human error involved. So this run will keep getting better, as long as this runner keeps getting better at replicating that specific movement.
I see.
So if they could obviously pull them off like flawlessly, I'm sure the run will get down to like 5, 6, whatever minutes. I haven't watched the whole thing.
But then that's the sort of wall that they hit.
That's the wall. But
because
yeah. But then you wonder, like, will that ever be possible? Because this teleporting thing is done numerous times. So unless you're going to pull it off,
Listen,
10 out of 10 times.
We've seen like Super Mario Brothers 1, times broken years after the fact when people are like, nah, it's impossible. You cannot shave any more seconds off of this.
And
so I think eventually
life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
In other news, let's bounce to just quick CD Projekt stuff. Cyberpunk 2077's expansion is coming in 2023. Yeah, that
came from their earnings. They had like a big earnings thing. Yeah. I saw that they said that most of the fixing work for Cyberpunk 2077 was done, and that a lot of the team had moved on to new projects. And one of those projects is the actual expansion, which is out next year. And then one of the other ones is they've brought back in the Witcher 3 is getting like PS5, Xbox Series X versions, like ray tracing and all of that. And that was initially outsourced actually to Saber Interactive.
I did not know that.
Yeah, reportedly it was an office of Saber that was in Russia, which may be part of why this is now suddenly in-house again.
Yeah.
But essentially, CD Projekt Red earlier this week said that they've taken up the project in-house and they are evaluating now, based on, the work that they received, how much time they'll need to complete it. So they cannot commit to the Q2 window anymore. Yeah. But they do stress that it's not delayed indefinitely. They said in the earnings call.
This article says
Yeah,
versions delayed indefinitely. That's
that was updated like late yesterday. It was part of it. It was like in a Q&A that they updated and said, it's not indefinitely. We still. It's sort of like, like if you've received like a half-baked cake, you kind of need a moment to be like, how long is this actually going to take me still? I need to figure out. Yeah. So that sucks because I've been actively putting off a replay of The Witcher 3 because I'm waiting for this patch. Yeah. But it is interesting that they say, obviously, CD Projekt Red said that they are working on a new Witcher game that is going to be utilizing Unreal Engine 5. They mentioned that the Molasses Flood, a studio that they purchased not super long ago, who made The Flame and the Flood.
I had no idea that they bought them.
Yeah, they did. Okay. They're working on a game, an unannounced game. They are busy working on a single-player portion to Gwent, which is weird because I thought Thronebreaker was that. So but maybe this is a new one. Yeah. And then they do mention that they're doing research and production for unannounced projects.
Okay.
So they are busy.
Lots going on there.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of games being announced. We weren't even talking about that. Kingdom Hearts 4 announced.
Wow, this thing came out of fucking nowhere,
I
didn't
did not.
it?
I mean, I know very little about Kingdom Hearts, but I almost thought 3 like wrapped things up, and we wouldn't see it for a long time.
I was awake on a Sunday with a fever, and I just looked at Twitter and I was like, Kingdom Hearts 4, and I'm like, am I dying? Like, and is this a fever dream?
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
Amazing.
And it was like so quick. I think I saw friend of the show, or just friend, I actually don't know if he listens, but Umar he tweeted like a mural out which had a missing piece, and he's like, surely that piece is Kingdom Hearts 4. And I was like, that is the first time I've ever heard of Kingdom Hearts 4 spoken about seriously. And it was literally like 2 or 3 hours later, it was like the announcement. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah,
like,
it's Kingdom Hearts 4 has grapple hooks now. Now this is where
Sora is in the modern world.
Fighting.
He's traded in his clown shoes.
Fighting a banker in this image over here.
I mean, could be.
It could be. But this is the most exciting part about this. Okay, so side trip here quickly. Kingdom Hearts, I think I'd love the games. Okay, I know they're full of nonsense, but put Disney and Square Enix together, how can you not have a good time? The most exciting part of this is that Kingdom Hearts 4 has been confirmed now. Okay, and there was an NVIDIA leak. I don't know if I can get a picture of that up quickly. There's an NVIDIA leak. Here we go. With a whole list of things. Okay, some of which we've since seen. So, like a good recent example is that this list has Chrono Cross Remaster, which is like an old game, which has now happened. It's out. You can play it. Kingdom Hearts 4's on here. What else was there? There was a couple things. There's
Crisis 4 was announced.
But specifically more Square Enix stuff.
Crisis 4 was announced. I'm just looking at the thing there.
Untitled Respawn game, Bioshock.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is heavily rumored. Like, of course, that's definitely going to be there.
That's
Grand Theft Auto Remasters happened.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
A new Bioshock is happening.
Yeah.
Untitled Respawn game is happening. They've confirmed that.
So
there's things on this list that still don't make sense. Like Titanfall 3 doesn't make sense because Respawn has literally said they are not working on that.
That's what they want you to think.
Explicitly being like, that is not something we're working on.
That's what they want you to think.
And like, another one like Injustice 3 doesn't make sense in line with Mortal Kombat at the same time.
Just at the same time.
So, but the rest seem more plausible. Street Fighter 6 happened.
Yep.
That got announced.
So, but on the Square Enix side of things, so we've had a few things happen. I don't think the list has this, but wasn't Final Fantasy VII Remake on this list, or am I imagining? No.
I'm not sure.
No. Okay, maybe I imagine. Maybe that was my fever dream. But this list also has a Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster and a Final Fantasy IX Remake.
Listen, I think a Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster is 100%.
It has to happen, yeah.
Because I mean, Square's gone so into these tactics 2D games lately. Yeah. Like, why would they not remaster that? Well, I mean, they announced a new one just the other day, wasn't it? During that Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, we've just had Triangle Strategy launch, and there's plenty.
What's that one? The Doffield Chronicles or whatever. Some fucking weird
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal has,
but Final Fantasy IX Remake, Matthew,
has led to this list resurfacing. And let me tell you, Final Fantasy IX, one of the most underrated Final Fantasies.
Let me tell you, the only thing I know about Final Fantasy IX, it has the Jawa of the Final Fantasy universe.
Vivi, the black mage,
the mage with the glowy eyes. He looks like a Jawa.
Mm-hmm. So if that happens,
does he also speak in Jawa language?
No. Well, there's no voice acting in those games.
So you just imagine that's how he talks.
You just imagine. I hope that's how he talks. Okay. Cool. So there's all of that.
So that's cool. I think a lot of those things on the list are pretty safe bets as well. Like, like a new Bioshock we know is in development.
A new Monster Hunter, Get Out.
Yeah. I mean, they've actually been, at least Bioshock has been confirmed. Like, they haven't revealed it, but they've said we're working on a new Bioshock. So, yeah. And, like, of course, there was always going to be a Street Fighter 6. There was always going to be a new Mortal Kombat. the big ones that are weird are like Crisis 4. You know, like
what?
would not have called that, and the Chrono Cross remaster, and now Kingdom Hearts 4 so early would not have guessed that.
Would not have guessed that, yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
There is one game on that list that is super not happening.
Yeah.
I will record this, clip it, I don't care. I will eat a whole lemon if this happens. But a Mirror's Edge remaster, it is not happening. There is no fucking way that is happening.
Please let it happen.
Literally gave a sequel to that game because people wouldn't shut up about it, myself included, and that game sold abysmally. Like, there is no way they were dipping back into that well. I
cannot wait for you to eat a lemon.
I will eat a lemon.
My goodness. Okay, and the last pieces of news in legal news. Sony and Nintendo update their gaming subscription auto renewals after a UK investigation.
Didn't this happen a while ago?
No,
it didn't. I thought, for some reason, I thought it. Maybe I read that they were investigating it, not that they changed it.
So, have you ever had your PS Plus auto renew? I know I have a full year, unexpected. My poor wallet cried. So I think, what is this?
It's basically, isn't it the same authority that said, like, if you haven't used that subscription in 2 years, they have to automatically deactivate the auto renewal or something like that?
It just says Sony has agreed to put in place measures to protect customers who haven't used their memberships for a long time but are still paying.
It's good. I think it's good. Like, you know, there's a literal market for apps that do this for you because companies are so like lax with just taking your money. And to an extent, yes, it is your responsibility to be responsible for your own money. But some oversight like this is welcome. So, yeah.
Cool. And then in other disgusting legal news, a California governor was accused of interfering to support Activision Blizzard in state discrimination lawsuit.
Yeah. That is some real... Well, I mean, firstly, one of the suits against Activision was settled for, what, $18 million, which seems like...
It's baby change.
Not a lot. Yeah. Especially since there's so many people that need to benefit from that settlement, that it's like not tons. And now the actual bigger one, you know, which is... So that was the federal investigation, if I'm not mistaken. This is the state one. This is the big one. And now you've got like a senator putting pressure on the legal team behind, you know, investigating Activision to the point where the part of the legal team or the lead legal counsels resigned. That's like, wow. Good thing they're all Democrats and the good guys. And
nice. Yeah, it's
listen, no politicians are good guys. That's all I'm saying. No. I'm not saying either side is better than the other. I think they're all just equally
shady.
Shit.
Yeah. Shady business. But on that bombshell.
So it says here, reported by Bloomberg, the Assistant Chief Counsel for California's Department of Fair Employment, Melanie Proctor, has quit her role in protest after California Governor Gavin Newsom abruptly fired the agency's boss, Chief Counsel Janet Whipper. A representative for the two attorneys has confirmed the firing and resignation to Bloomberg. So, like, the governor came out and said, this is all bullshit, but, like, your chief counsel is saying, I left in protest of what this guy's doing. So, like, cool. According to Proctor, the governor and his office abruptly terminated Whipper after she attempted to protect the agency's independence following the alleged interference. A spokesperson for Whipper said she is now evaluating all avenues of legal recourse, including a claim under the California Whistleblower Protection Act.
Sure.
It keeps getting weird, eh? Microsoft really chose, they were like, cool, we want to get involved in this. We want
I wonder how does Microsoft get involved here? Because obviously they're acquiring them.
They're not allowed to. They literally cannot touch this until that deal goes through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hectic.
Because that is even more of a breach of... They are not allowed to intervene in Activision affairs when they do not own Activision.
Sure. Because
that could be seen as meddling with, you know, stock price and stuff like that. But
surely could Phil Spencer, for example, someone not come out and say like they can't believe this happened? Or they strongly, yeah, okay. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, what a time.
Well,
that's news, I think.
On that bombshell.
Yeah. On that bombshell, that is news. Which means we are here to take your questions. If you would like to send us a question, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter @checkpointchat. On where else? I don't know. TikTok,
everywhere. Just
Instagram.
all of the things.
All of the places.
Okay,
what questions do we have waiting in the chamber today?
We have some questions. We have one from Jared Brapra, who asks, hey Sandy and Matthew, what game was an absolute slog when you guys had to review? I've played the Mass Effect trilogy for the first time with the Legendary Edition, trying to play Andromeda, and it feels like a chore.
Your Andromeda is a chore. Can I give you some advice on Andromeda?
Don't play it.
No, okay. I think there's some redeeming qualities to Andromeda. I think don't, and I know this is very hard for people to do, but like don't obsess over the side stuff. Like some of the best stuff in the original Mass Effect trilogy was the side stuff. That is not the case in Andromeda, not even close.
Stick to the main stuff.
And a lot of it is cookie cutter nonsense bullshit that will very quickly burn you out on that game, especially the sort of like very minuscule busy work stuff that you do on each of the planets you visit. Ignore that stuff, mainline the fuck out of that game. Maybe do your companion side quests, like those are fun, but the rest of the stuff just ignore and you'll have a much better time with Andromeda because the combat's actually really fun in that game. Well, at least I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll burn out so quickly if you do everything there. My example is actually a game that I really enjoy, but it just shows you the sort of stress that the review process puts on you. And it was The Witcher 3. It was, man, like slog is maybe the wrong word, but I could not enjoy that game in the way that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Especially because, we got it on a Friday, which was, I think, release day. We didn't get it early locally. I know other outlets overseas did, but we didn't. So we got it on the Friday. And I remember visiting good friend Garth on Sunday. I don't know if I was collecting something from him or just saying hi. I can't remember. And he was like, yeah, I finished it. And I was like,
how?
I was just like, fuck. That means your review is going to go up on Monday, Tuesday. And that means Jeff or Gavin is going to ask me where the fuck my review is. And so suddenly it became this race to kind of like do as much as I could. And I couldn't match that time.
No, for sure.
I just didn't have the time to do it. But it forced me to skip a lot in that game. It forced me to really rush through certain things, especially near the end, and to always be like, okay, am I getting near the end? Am I getting near the end? Like to actively look forward to the end of the game. So yeah, it's crap. And that's why I think a lot of reviews often gloss over certain things that players who take the time to play for a month, will find that a reviewer doesn't, because just of the nature of how it is. And I don't think you can blame reviewers, because the nature of the internet is that things that go up first and the way SEO works, if you don't do that, then you're losing out to the rat race. And to be fair, people don't really give a shit about a review that's a month old. So
yeah,
that's just the world we find ourselves in. So yeah, but that was the one example. I keep coming back to and being like, that was a horrible experience. Did not enjoy.
Fortunately, I don't think I've reviewed a game like The Witcher, an RPG to that extent, where I've had to rush through something. At least nothing comes to mind. But I do know that feeling of when, you've got a looming deadline or something and you just have no clue how long you have left in a game. And it's one of those things of, how do you rush through a game like The Witcher? Spoiler, you don't. The game is just long, and that. It's an RPG that there's lots of content, and no amount of you beelining from A to B is going to make it that much shorter. It's still going to be like 20, 30, 40 hours, whatever your final play time is. Yeah. Do not envy you. I have reviewed some MMORPGs. Like I remember I reviewed the Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out.
Oh, good lord!
I reviewed WildStar. RIP WildStar. I actually really enjoyed that game.
That was a fun game. I also enjoyed that game. Yeah.
But that's the nature of those reviews was the thing of, have I played enough to write about this? It's an MMO. You have to commit dozens upon hundreds of hours, whatever. It's like, I've put in about 30, 40 hours. Like, that seems enough, but it's an MMO. Can I really, talk about what the end game's like? No, I can't, but I can share my thoughts at the moment. So, yeah. It's probably the closest.
I think the biggest slugs as well are, like you said, MMOs are up there, but any sort of multiplayer game that you're not really vibing with, because there is no defined end. You just kind of got to keep playing till you have what you think is an all-encompassing view on that game. So I've definitely played some multiplayer games, of the free-to-play or budget ilk that feel like after 2 games, I'm like, fuck, I get this game, but I can't just play 2 games of this. But boy, am I not having a fun time playing this. Yeah.
My goodness. Cool. We actually had a question pop up on Instagram a few weeks ago. So this is from Mrs. Very Angry, who asks, is there any food that makes you nostalgic for a video game? For example, my hubby was eating a slider and suddenly had cravings for Final Fantasy. We reckon he must have eaten many a burger while playing Final Fantasy as a kid.
Yeah, I was about to say, why is slider in Final Fantasy? Because they don't really eat burgers
in the game.
Fantasy?
Was he playing Final Fantasy 15?
If it was Final Fantasy 15, yeah, lots of good food in that game. Lots of good food in that game.
I don't actually... I don't have any examples that come to mind.
Make me nostalgic for...
I mean, I have played games that have made me hungry and go, that looks delicious.
Oh, absolutely. That happens all the time.
15.
Yeah.
It's funny because that game was, obviously big open world RPG, whatever. And it looked good, but the food quality, they put a lot of effort into making sure that food looked real good.
Next level. I do know I drank copious amounts of Monster Energy while playing Death Stranding, so marketing worked, I guess.
Now every time you pick up a monster, you think, shit, where's my BB?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't think of anything that like when I eat it, I think of a game. I think it definitely is the reverse. Like, I will see food in a game. And this happens with watching TV. Like when I was watching House of Cards a lot, when I was binging that, boy, every time Frank Underwood ate those good ribs, I was like, fuck, I need ribs. I want ribs in my face right now. But yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, if I have to say, there is one thing that I used to do. I don't do it anymore because I just realized how much sugar's in there. But I used to really always enjoy nice ice cold chocolate Nesquik while playing games. But yeah, that shit is fucking crammed with sugar. So yeah. But very good. I used to play a lot of video games while drinking Nesquik.
So you don't play games and have that urge for some Nesquik?
I mean, I do. I haven't had Nesquik in so long that I think that craving's gone. But boy, it used to be there so strong.
I've been sober for 5 years.
Yeah, I've been chocolate powder sober for 5 years.
My goodness. I can't say that I have a strong thing, like that burger example. I do think back to it's kind of the other way around. I just have memories of things I've eaten while gaming, not necessarily I've played games and then thought like, shit, I need a burger. Like I do remember when I was working for Lazy Gamer at do my morning articles, whatever. Then come lunchtime, I'd always get some food and then play Hearthstone. It was the best. Play like an hour of Hearthstone, carry on with my day. I used to do that.
I don't know how you survive because you used to have a KFC literally across the road. Yes, if I smelt that every day, I'd fucking drive myself insane.
KFC's too good. Cool. Yeah, thank you for that question. Hope you got your husband a burger. He sorted himself out with some deliciousness.
Tell us where your best sliders are from. I actually want to know.
Cool. And then one last question from Megs, who asks, should I be hyped for Kingdom Hearts 4? I'm not much for Disney. I've always been a Warner Looney Tunes kind of guy.
Interesting.
What?
I don't know. I've never played Kingdom Hearts.
But on that, I don't know. Are there any Looney Tunes games at the moment outside of Space Jam 2? The little game that came out last year. Last year.
Did they make a Space Jam? Oh, they did. It was like a 2D beat 'em up thing. Yeah, I remember that now.
Not review well.
Yeah, I did not review well. I don't know. Listen, I've always heard anecdotally from people that Kingdom Hearts is like a fun, if not straightforward, like Final Fantasy game. Yeah. And it's not so much about like the Disney characters themselves as it is Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters interacting in a unique story.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do think that a lot of the fun comes out of like seeing like areas from famous Disney movies recreated. Like everyone's always like, oh, what's the new area they're going to put in this game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that, the games almost feel like theme park rides for Disney than anything else. But I don't know. I've always had this like itch to try
exactly,
them.
Yeah. My problem is that like I've already mentioned many times and even earlier in this episode where I know I'll enjoy these games. Like it's Square Enix, it's Disney. Like how would I not enjoy them? It's just looking back at the entire franchise, where do I jump on? I can't just pick up Kingdom Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts 4 because there's a whole history of games there that I haven't played. But then do I play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2? Do I play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and all their millions of spin-offs and then Kingdom Hearts 3? Like it's just...
And there's so many. Oh
yeah,
my
and
God.
just the thought of it, I'm like, no. I just can't bring myself to do it.
It's a lot. At this point, I would not be like, I don't think I'd feel bad looking at a story recap of like 1 and 2 and like maybe playing 3 because that's the most recent one.
Yeah.
And then like waiting for 4. Because I think 1 and 2 are definitely, they're from the PS2 era. They haven't aged in the same way.
No.
So I think if you're going to be like a real pedantic person about playing them all, you're going to burn yourself out on the franchise before you even get to the modern stuff that you might actually enjoy. So
isn't it weird that Kingdom Hearts 3 just straight up missed a generation of consoles?
Yeah. I mean, this is why like people are like, oh shit, this got announced. Like this game, I tell you now, is going to be one of those like, God, where did Kingdom Hearts 4 go? It hasn't been spoken about in so long. It's going to be one of those situations like the Final Fantasy 7 remake thing. It's going to be like 3-4 years till this thing comes out. I mean, Nomura was even like, oh, we're going to port it to Unreal Engine 5. I'm like, oh, my dude.
Wow.
This thing is going to be years away. Years away.
On that, where's Final Fantasy Remake Part 2?
Who knows? Now Nomura's on Kingdom Hearts 4, man.
I mean, surely we're getting a tease this year. It's been like
Daffy Duck
now.
Is here to bomb some Mako buildings. You know?
It's part of Avalanche.
Yeah, exactly. He can hear the planet dying.
I really wish at this very second I knew how to do a Donald Duck impersonation. I can't. I wish I knew.
I would love, just give me a 10-minute short of Donald Duck, like Barrett explaining Avalanche to Donald Duck. Like that's all I want in life.
And then life would be complete. Is all.
It was actually kind of weird watching the Japanese trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 and hearing like Donald Duck with a Japanese voice, but still doing the Donald Duck like line delivery. Same with Goofy, because it just broke my brain. I was just like, how is this so familiar yet so foreign?
I know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
That is all the questions. So yeah, we're done.
Is that all the questions? We're done. We're done, fam.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to send us questions, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. And that has been Checkpoint Chat, episode 182. 182.
We're going to go long weekend now?
We are going to go long weekend. We hope if you've listened to this, you've had a good long weekend and are revitalized and ready to get back to the grind tomorrow. And as always, thank you so much for listening. We love you and appreciate you. Go microwave your chocolate eggs like a monster.
Just try it.
Oh, good Lord. Disgusting.
Sure.
Disgusting. And we will be back next week. Thank you very much. Goodbye.